Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Yes, this is good afternoon from Nigeria. And the topic for today is thoughtless generosity, the dangers of giving without wisdom. Have you ever given so much out so that you ended up not having anything for yourself? Or maybe you have not been in that situation, but you have seen someone in that situation. You must have given so much that at the end, he comes back begging you to give him something. I call it senseless generosity. It's the same thing as thoughtless generosity. And it can put you in a very bad state. My name is from Luke-Aliga, and I am the founder of Values for Legacy Academy. I help young people cultivate the right values and live by them because I understand that is only when you can have a truly meaningful and fulfilling life. So back to our topic of discussion. Did you think about it? I know someone who has been in that situation before. In fact, currently in that situation, I know about two persons or so. They give, they were cheerful givers, they loved giving, they give without thinking because they believed that when you give, you surely get back. But you know that it gets to that state where you give and you never get back because what? You did not plan your giving. But I understand what you feel. You feel the need to always be there for someone because you are empathetic. You love them. You want to see others happy. You want to see others cheerful. Right? You must consider yourself because the truth is you cannot pour from an empty tank. And when you give to the point where you no longer have to give, that begins the cycle of emptiness. So, what is thoughtless generosity? Like I said, thoughtless generosity is when you give recklessly without planning. You give so bad, so much that you do not consider the consequences of giving that much. It's when your heart is in the right place. Yes, it's in the right place. Giving is a very good thing. Even the Bible says that God loves a cheerful giver. But will you be a cheerful giver if you do not have anything? Or if you drain yourself while giving? Okay, so it's from the right place in your heart that you don't pause to ask yourself, can I afford to give this? And if I give this, how will it affect me now and in future? Future can be tomorrow, next tomorrow, next 1 week. So when I talk of the future, I'm not even talking about 100 years time. But that's also important to get to find out before you proceed to give. Why does giving happen? Why are you generous? There are many reasons why you want to be generous. Very many. One of them is that generosity gives you this joy. There is joy in giving. I know many of you have experienced that joy when you give somebody something. Yeah, I'm on that. I love giving. And whenever I give, it gives me pleasure and happiness and joy to see the other person happy and joyful too. But in trying to make others happy, you must put yourself first. You have to put yourself first. Because like I said, you cannot give from an empty vessel. So there are many reasons why you give. You give to help. That is to say, you can give because you want to help. And another is that you give because you feel guilty. You feel guilty. So you just have to give. There are many people, in fact, I think I have been in that situation where because I just needed to give. Especially when it has to do with your parents, your siblings, your family, relatives. There are times you don't want to give, not because you don't want to give, because you do not have. And the one you have is just for you. But you have to, you feel guilty. If I don't give now, how would they feel? And then you carry what you have and give. You take what should rightly be with you and give out. Then there's this other reason why we give. Because you feel you're afraid of saying no. Because you don't want to say no. Last time I did a challenge, setting boundaries challenge. That one I target setting boundaries in friendship challenge, but this is the same thing. You're giving because you're afraid to say no. Deep down, you want to say no because when you give, it's going to impact you negatively. But you just have to give because why say no? But you need to learn to. Those are the reasons why the truth I have always said is that if you neglect yourself when giving, then the point is that you've lost the ability to help others and yourself. So when you neglect yourself, when you want to give and you decide to neglect yourself in the process of giving, you are putting yourself in a situation where you are incapable of helping both others and yourself. So what do you think will happen? When you give someone all you have without considering your future, tell me what you think will happen. When you give someone all that you have without considering the future. Have you thought of it? Think about it. Take your mind back to those people that you know that gave, and today they are begging. How did it happen? That was self-neglect happening right there. And today they are paying dearly for it. Because guess what? Even the people they give, who may have now, will not be willing to give them. Is that a good place to be? So before you give, ask yourself these questions. Can I afford to give this without affecting my needs and my goals? Think about it. Am I giving because I truly want to? Are you giving because you truly want to give? Or are you giving because NECA is giving, so you must give? Are you giving because it's a party, and if you don't get a gift, if you're not giving, one camera might catch you not giving and spread it on social media? Are you giving because you don't want them to say, see, big girl, big boy cannot give? So what is your reason to forgive? Another question to ask yourself is, how can I give in a way that empowers the person I'm helping? Like I used to say, like I said, giving is not just about money. So ask yourself, how can I give in a way that empowers the person I'm helping rather than making them dependent on me? Because if you give Neka 5,000 today, Neka uses the 5,000, finishes it on maybe food items. Neka will come back to you tomorrow for another 5,000 to eat. It might even be 10,000. You know the cost of things in the market, very high. So Neka, it can be 10,000. You give Neka the 10,000. Just ask yourself, how can you give Neka in such a way that when you give Neka, Neka will not have to come back to you. Rather, Neka will multiply. Neka will use what you give to her to grow it to become something big that will also help her to serve other people through giving. Generosity should uplift both you, the giver, and the receiver. It shouldn't, disempower you. Neither should it disempower them. And that is why I advocate for planned generosity. Anyway, let's look at the values that you need, to be able to be thoughtful in giving. So the values that you require. But there are certain values that you need in everything in life. There must be values. That's why I'm here to teach values to young people, help them live by need, let them cultivate it because it's very important. The values that can help you, avoid or stay away from giving thoughtlessly, include responsibility. A thoughtless, generous person is not responsible. Think of it. Is it not your responsibility to carry your last 100,000 to give to your sibling? I mean, your last 100,000 to give to your sibling. And I know why I'm saying that because when it comes to family, we feel pressure, we feel guilty, we feel that if we don't give, then we find out that all those was not necessary. So, is it responsible to carry your last 100,000 to give to someone else? Just like that. And then go back to your friends to beg them to help you. Your friends may probably not have at that time to help you. So whenever you're giving, you must think of your own needs and future. Before you give, think of your needs now and in the future before you give. True generosity starts with responsibility. And then empathy. Understand the needs of the person you are giving. But also understand your limits. So you have to understand the limits to which you can give. Understand the needs of the person you're giving and understand the limits to which you can give. You don't just give anyhow because you are empathetic. Don't be empathetic to the point where you present yourself as a sacrifice or a test case. So be empathetic. You can only help someone in a way that doesn't harm you. So don't self-harm in the name of being generous. That's why you have to do what? You have to plan your giving. That's why you have to plan your giving. When you get on a plane, there's something that happens when the air hostess is giving you, the pep talk before the plane starts moving. I'm always baffled when they say, put on your own oxygen mask before you put the one for your child on her or him. In other words, the host says, save yourself first, because that's the only way. That's the only time you'll be able to save your child, even on the plane. on a place as risky as a plane. So you have to safeguard yours first before you can start spreading out. When I say safeguard, I don't mean be stingy. I mean give with sense. When we talk of discipline, I know some of you may wonder, you will not really get or understand what I'm trying to say, but the truth is, I have seen people go from millions to zero. And that's why I'm talking about this generosity. I have seen people go from millions to zero. Not because someone else squandered theirs, but because they give recklessly. And it aches my heart. It beats my imagination how anybody could put themselves in such a situation. It's not a joke, and I'm sure that you have seen people around you who are in that position. Even if they are 100 naira. No, I'll come to where I'll tell you that there are some other ways you can give. You don't need to necessarily give money. Especially when you know that when you give it, it's going to put you in harm's way. Discipline. So generosity requires planning. That's where discipline comes in. Just like you said, when I was talking about saving the other week, I mentioned having a savings plan. In generosity, you have a giving plan. Yes, you should have a giving plan. If you're earning 5 million naira in a month, fine and good. What percentage of it goes to giving? Just as you have your maybe 30% to 40% going to savings for whatever purpose, you should have 5 to 10%. That's for me, 5 to 10% going for giving out. Once that 5 to 10 is finished, you're done. Any other person that comes after that should wait for the next month. That's the fact. So you require discipline in being generous. You require discipline. And discipline is planning and following through with the plan. So what did I say about discipline? I think you set aside a particular percentage of your money, income, whichever one, whether it's income from your business, income as your salary, set aside a particular percentage. For me, it's 5 to 10%. For others, it might be 20%, depending on how they can carry. But the discipline is one of the values that is necessary for you to be a wise giver, wisely generous. And then integrity. Have you seen people who give just because they want clout? In this era of social media, have you seen people who give just for clout's sake? Like, I'm giving 100,000 or this. One of the values you must have as a person who is giving is integrity. So we've roamed up around and we've come back to integrity. Give for the right reasons. That's what I'm talking about. Give for the right reason. Don't give because you want to impress crowds. Don't give because you want to impress the person. Don't give because you want to, show off. A lot of people are giving that. And a lot of people drain themselves doing that. Give because you genuinely want to make a difference. When you see me giving someone, I give for gratitude. I'm going to talk about that. I give because I want to help. I don't give when you put me under pressure. I'm sorry. You can't put me under pressure to give. That's why most times I question, there's some kind of giving out God. And I'm like, what is it? Can you explain further? But that's how I operate in my giving. And That's wisdom. Plan it, think it through, give for the right reasons. And then gratitude. Gratitude is one value that you must have for you to be able to live a very healthy life. If you're not grateful for what you have today, for where you are today, you're going to have a very sick life. That's the truth. You will always be sad. That's why we say be grateful for the little things. So somebody said, count your blessings, name them one by one. It's life. I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for the clothes you're wearing. I'm grateful for my shirt. I'm grateful for my glasses. You're grateful for my teeth. It hasn't decayed. So gratitude is one of the values that you must have as a generous person. Give with a heart, with a grateful heart. That is wisely and joyfully. You can't give with a grateful heart and give unwisely. Like, are you going to pack or drain your account to joyfully? No? Like I said, percentage. Check it out. Work with it. Any other person next time. Vision. Another value you must look at when giving is vision. Think long term. Stop thinking now. Short term is like putting yourself in a risk. So think long term. If there's someone that thinks long term is me, hey God. That reminds me, I just remembered YOLO. How many of you have heard YOLO? You only live once. See how I'm laughing because I remembered YOLO. Why I'm laughing is that I remember the question I asked people who YOLO. They're like, you only live once, so get the money, chop the money, do anything. And I'm like, hold on a second. You only live once. In your youth, you're very active, you're very agile. But what if God decides to keep you till your 100 years? What if? Do you know that from 60 something, that's what you're asked to retire at 65, 60 and all that. You're supposed to have retired. So if you're retired and you only live once life, like YOLO life, what will happen to you the remaining 30 years, 35 years? Just think about it. You really want to answer that. So think long term. Give in such a way that it creates a lasting impact. So that's why I often advise giving to build business, and to give the person to build business and teaching them the skills that is required to grow the business. That's one of the things that helps. And then giving isn't only about money. Money, you can give the person your skills, you can teach the person your skills, you can give them opportunities, you can give them somewhere to express themselves and to, show their talent, and then from there they begin to grow and financially so. So what do you do today? What do you do today? I don't want to keep you for so long. No. I don't want to do that. What do you do today? Set aside a given plan and stick to it. So you can set aside a particular amount of money each month or each week that you can give without stress. When you're done giving that, you move on the next week or the next month, you continue again. And if you cannot give money, think of other ways of giving. What can you give? You can give of your skills. You can simply be there for someone emotionally. You can offer your time. So think generosity beyond money. You understand? Think generosity beyond money. And then set boundaries. Set boundaries. It is important to say no. Remember, I'm saying what you can do today. So what you can do today is to start planning your giving. Another one is that set a particular amount per week or month. And then set boundaries. Say no when you have to say no and give when you have to give. That's a responsible thing to do. Remember, like I said, you cannot give out from an empty tank. You cannot. When you're running on empty, what will you give? So, are you still with me? What have you learned so far? What are you going to act on so far? Are you still going to continue giving without wisdom? Or will you make a plan for giving today? And will you give when you can and not under pressure? Remember, being generous is a value we should all live by. Generous, very good value. Gives joy to other people, makes them happy. So remember that it is a value, generosity is a value you should live by, but you must do that with wisdom, responsibility, and discipline. Don't let your giving leave you empty. What did I say? Don't let your giving leave you empty. Let it fill both your life and the lives of others with purpose and joy. Let your giving fill your life and the life of others with purpose and joy. This way your generosity becomes a gift. Your generosity becomes a gift to everyone, including you. So make a promise to yourself today. Make a promise to yourself today. No more thoughtless giving. I call it senseless giving. No more thoughtless giving. I will plan my giving. I will set aside a specific percent of my income for giving. And I will give with purpose. And if I can't give money, I will give of my skills. I will give of my knowledge. I will be there emotionally. And above all, I will give with love for both myself and the person that I'm giving. Let's change our lives and that of others with thoughtful giving. Thank you for being with me. I appreciate you so much. Remember that I am Otito from Luke-Aliga, the founder of Values for Legacy Academy. Values for Legacy Academy is an academy that teaches young people to cultivate the right values and to live by them. Because, like I said, and will always say, no matter how shiny your life is, if you are not living a life of value, you're definitely not living a meaningful and fulfilling life. Quote me anything. If you are not living a life of values, you are not living a meaningful, purposeful, and fulfilling life. You can reach me for mentorship with young people, coaching. You can contact me to speak at your events for them. Thank you so much for joining us. And before I begin, I want to remind you of this book. I don't know if you've heard of this book, but if you haven't, this is a book I wrote for young people. Peer acceptance, how to avoid getting lost. Do you know why? Because I understand that the crux of a young person's life is the kind of people that he relates with, and it starts with the peer group. So most often, our children leave home and interact with the wrong kind of kids. Not because they know, but because they do not even understand. So this book is aimed at helping them understand the intricacies of becoming friends with their peers and helping them find the right fit for themselves. And if peradventure they look around, they can't find the right fit that align to their value system, especially the one we give them at home, family values. What do? I teach them that they can influence others positively. Instead of waiting to join that peer group or they start up a peer group. A peer group, that showcases the right values. A peer group that works by living the right way and impacting their world positively. Thank you once again for joining me. I'll see you next week with another interesting topic. Bye.